those who don't know me, and I think I know most of the faces out in the audience, my name's Richard Dove, and I'm Multicultural Liaison Officer for Victoria Police, covering the Western region. I think one of the main questions that's being asked from the community is, can we rely on Victoria Police to keep engaged with the community and keep assisting and supporting, and has anything changed? And I can reassure you that nothing has changed. Nothing has changed in my position. Nothing has changed with the Multicultural Liaison Officers, my colleagues. We still have our new and emerging community liaison officers. As most of you know, we've advertised for a new position in Moonee Ponds, and that will actually be filled within the next month. Interviews are just about to take place. We have our youth resource officers at almost every station around the state, and they're still actively engaged. And we still have our command and our inspectors and our senior sergeants and our sergeants all on board with us engaging the community. Nothing's changed. We're still going to do all those things. Before this particular day, we put together a list of all the different programs that we're actually involved in, and I've got 6 whole pages here of different things, and I won't go through them all because I think most of you know just how many programs we're actually involved in. I think that's an important message, that we're still going to be involved in those programs, and we're always listening, and we're always involved, and I will continue to work with the community, and so will my colleagues. Currently, even in regards to employment, which you wouldn't think of being a Victoria Police issue, we've been working with Adam Bant's office on the Melbourne Employment Forum to assist in finding ways in which to have new and emerging communities, people who've arrived in the last 10 years and even further, getting employment. Because we realise, as Victoria Police, that policing isn't just about going out there and finding people who do the wrong thing. There's a lot of things that come before we actually get to the stage of where crime is committed on the street. Often is the case when crimes occur, it's people who look to us to address it. But usually by the time it's got to that stage, there's 1,000 things that have gone before that has led to the stage where it reaches where we have to come in and do something, and it's always usually right at the very end.
Richard, if I may just interrupt,
Sure.
And I'm sorry for that, but you seem to be saying there's a lot of programs that the police is involved in. Police is taking a proactive action to communicate with the community and address some of the issues there, but there seems to be a growing divide between police and a section, at least, of the African community, the youth communities who do not appear. I mean, I've met quite a lot of them who have a lot of reservations about the police. Why is that? If the police is so active in engaging with the African community, why is that there seems to be some quite serious issues there in the relationship between the police and the community?
Thanks, Clyde. I've been involved in this role for the past 7 years, and I would say that in the past year there definitely has been a rising voice in that divide, in that dialogue and the discourse which is going on within the community. I've sat there and tried to work out why it's taking place, and I actually haven't come up with an answer. Because we as police officers haven't been involved any less with the community than we have been before. I would say that there is a few collective voices out there, and the community have found better ways in which to get their message across. And if the community are actually saying it, then obviously they feel it. And I think an important part of that is for us to acknowledge it and say, if you feel that way, then obviously we have to listen, and we actually have to work together, as everyone has said, to find ways in which to to make it better for
All right.
everyone.
And I'll bring probably Senior Sergeant Brown into the conversation. Do you think that part of the problem could be that although Victoria Police as an institution would like to do its best to engage with all communities, including African communities, and up there you've got everything, the laws are rights, the policies, but on the ground there could be a lot of police officers who are not getting that message, and they're the ones that are creating problems with the communities?
Yeah, thanks, Clyde. Don Brown's my name from Broadmeadow Headquarters. The message, I guess, starts with the training at the academy, the message you're talking about, and that message is always consistent, and we treat every person we come across in the same manner. Don't get me wrong, there could be people doing the wrong thing, but if that's the case, we investigate those members and we take action. But generally speaking, our members are out there doing the job to the best of their training and ability and doing a good job at it. I think the important thing to get back to is how we as a group address the issues that are being raised here today and how we move forward with them. And that could be through some of the programs Richard's talking about, but it's all about staying engaged with each other, and we do that with a whole range of different communities, including this one. But we just fundamentally we just have to talk through these issues, which is what today's forum is good about. And as an extension of that, we need to look at the educational aspects, the employment aspects. What I'm saying is it's not just a law enforcement problem, it's a whole of community problem that we're grappling with here. Mm-hmm. And this forum is a good start to that.
All right, thanks very much. I'll ask you to regain your... What do you think are the problems? So obviously, we're here because, there is this issue about communication, there's an issue about crime, there's an issue about the relationship between the police and the community. All of that put together, what comes to your mind?
Can I start myself? As you mentioned, my attendance here was primarily to take your voices and feelings and to Canberra, but also I might contribute my voice as well. Yeah. So I'm quite concerned why police mention it only 1% of the crime, if it's correct actually, and not mentioning 99% from the mainstream. That's quite something worrying me a lot. The second point is I'm also concerned police perception of young African men. That could be a perception of young African men are by nature and by culture criminals, and that could actually influence their dealings and their attitudes and interaction with young African men. That could be also influenced from African American, police and African American, Black African American as well. And also I'm concerned of lack of understanding of African way of life, a collective society. They go as a group. So that could lead some misunderstanding. The second point is, I feel it's an Australian problem. It's not only an African problem. It's something they learned locally here from Australia. The older generation like me and others who came here, we haven't had any kind of criminal accusation of problems. So just to see them as like other Australian with young people, not to isolate them or separate them from the main community. Finally, employment was mentioned. That's really a big issue. When I have done my research, a young man once told me, employment wakes you up early in the morning and makes you man. It was really a big statement. So we need to focus on employment, and it has been mentioned largely. And also education, not only to young African men or ethnic communities, but also to the police, to educate them, other cultures as well, and the mainstream, and the African community. And also I understand there's some negative perceptions of some African communities of police who came from dictatorship, governments where police was very brutal. So both negative perceptions could actually play in between and create a very negative
So
situation.
kind of to sum it up, you've got, you think that is an issue of perception, both from
Both.
from the police with regards to how they perceive the
Exactly.
young Africans and
Yeah.
prone to criminal behavior. Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
As well as the young Africans. Some of them have difficulty dealing with the police because they've come from governments where
Yeah, they have that stereotypes and perceptions with police back home.
with
yeah.
police back from the country of origin. All right, we'll hear from the next.
My name is Deng Malith. I work for Kaslikher as youth support worker. Good points have been mentioned, and basically the employment is a big issue. And sometimes I think that this problem of employment, like we have graduates now, and they couldn't find job. What will that message send to the children who are now in school if they don't see their dad, their uncle, they are not working? It could set a very bad example, and many children, they will be disengaged if they don't see many people who have finished school and they couldn't find job. So I had mentioned it before, and it is very important that there should be program available to engage the local community through employment. That's the main issue. What my brother have just mentioned about problem of police overseas and here, the children now who have been targeted by the media, they grow up in refugees camp. Some are born in refugees camp, and some grow up here. So some came here at the age of 3, 5, so they don't know how police behave overseas. So the problem is here, it's not overseas. If I misbehave toward police, then the police will tell me that because I'm an adult, they will say, oh, Deng must have come with the concept that he have seen from overseas police. But here, there's an issue that police should engage with the community and local organizations like organizations that Asunta talked before, because we need to engage youth, because these youth, they need role models. If they see their age mate working, they are engaged in school, then they might be able to do the same. They need role model. And if they couldn't see that, then there's no point that they should be engaged. So crime should be separated from employment. Some of the youth are really doing well. Some of the youth, they are disengaged, and there should be a program that helps them.
Okay.
Yeah.
My name is Peter, and I won't say I'm representing an organization. I'm not representing an organization, and that will give me a chance to actually say something, because I'm critical about the work of Victorian Police. Really, that article is totally appalling, and I could say that it comes from the second person in command of the Victorian Police Force, and the numbers are not correct. It is not dated. There is no there is no time frame whereby the crime happened. These are from this date to this date. It's not there. Also, it is only 2 communities that are mentioned there. What about the rest of the other communities? Is it also, what I need to understand from the Victorian police operation is that, do people commit crime because of the community that they came from, or are they simply criminals? I still didn't get that. Before this article, there was something which was written in, previously there was a police training, and now we're saying that there is no case of racial profiling or Sudanese need help and all of that. But before that, there was a case of racial profiling, and it was on national news, so I'm guessing everybody have seen it. And it was describing Sudanese as tall people who commit crime and all the time. Crime are not specific to Sudanese. People who commit crime don't commit crime because they are African. They commit crime because they're criminals. And there is no way. I've seen the report. It was released on the 3rd of September, and the report is 56 pages long. I went through it. There is no specific record showing any community name. There is no name of any community in that report. And if I'm wrong, go check it out. It is online.
Okay.
Now, if you look at that, and you look at also on the 8th of August, that's when young Sudanese died in the police custody. On the 20th of August, which is 12 days later, that's when this statistic came from the high command of the police. And still that case is not, the police actually didn't say how this kid died. So how can Sudanese and Somalian community trust police if the police are not upfront on their practice? They are there to monitor the law, because it has been said here, it is an issue of administering law. If you administer law, And then it will be more clear that if something goes wrong in your administration, someone should be in jail, or at least there has to be a sense of explanation on how this case goes. Victoria Police is not open with Sudanese community.
Do you think there's a link between the publication of the...
Absolutely,
that
I do. I
article
believe that, and I
the
believe
death
that
of-
highly.
Why do you think so?
Why I think so is that when these kids die, it was with police, a lot of police officers, and it was in a famous place, city, and there was nothing about it. Nobody say anything, not even in the media. But when there was a record, when there was a release of records that are uncredible records, a record that I don't think even any credible person will actually stand up and say something about those reports, then it made the things, it goes into the news.
Could it be that police is still investigating?
Obviously, it is a case. Why are they second guessing? If I go on the news and say that a London riot style might occur here now, what caused the London riot? What caused it? It was the police killing. Everybody knows that. Coronella riot. It was between young people, like people of Caucasians and the Lebanese young people. It was a huge issue. So if these things happen now, if it is Coronella riot, who did Sudanese wrong, or what community is Sudanese actually fighting in order for that case to happen? If it is the London riot, then who did the police kill in order for that to happen? These are the questions we need to answer in regard to those associations.
All right, thanks very much.
Thank you very much for organizing this wonderful, session of community and police engagement. Really, it's a good dialogue and good discussion, and I hope you to be patient also with the community and understand their feelings as well.
First, I'd like to introduce myself. My name's Abdi, and I work out in Collingwood, so far away from here. I work for DHS, but my conversation, or what I'll say right now, it's not on behalf of DHS, but as a community member or someone who's concerned about the African community, I've heard both sides of the story, and I would like to say we need to focus on the positive things that happen in African community. So instead of just pinpointing on the negative things that are happening and saying that this is, or we are, to blame, or we should blame someone for our problems. I think we need to think, or maybe organize another forum and actually highlight what are the issues that young people face today. And then from then on, we can come up with clear solutions of where to go from there. Because I don't think a forum like this is fantastic, but what we need to do is just pinpoint and point at someone and say, you have made a mistake. Because the person that wrote the article, who knows? No one said anything about that person that wrote the article. I would like to say to the African community, we have issues. So there's no denying that, okay? But we need to sit down and pinpoint exactly what are the issues in terms of crime, in terms of education, in terms of employment, okay? I see day in and day out with my work. I see young people out there who are frustrated. I've studied, I've finished my degree, but I can't get a job. Okay, do I work in a security job or cleaning job?
Taxi or something.
Or taxi. So these are the things that we need to focus on.
Thanks very much.
All right.
Yes.
My name is Iftu, and I am representing the Melbourne Oromo Youth Association. And so, as my position as the president of the Oromo Youth, I appreciate being here today. It's really good to hear from everyone, the police, the African community, and the wider community. But the issues that he's mentioned that a lot of people have as well. And so I think it was Richard. Yep, that has mentioned the engagement aspect of African community in the wider Australian society, and I think that's an issue that needs to be addressed to everyone, because the youth that are growing up now in the Australian way of life, need to understand that getting engaged, you know, with the Australian way of life and kind of getting the potential goals that they wish to, you know, pursue, like employment and whatever, like it's very difficult. They need to understand that. And as a student, I'm still studying, but I take my time out to, you know, organise events, because youth groups are seeking, you know, they really want to engage, they want to be heard, they want their voices to be heard. And with all these ideas, all they need is support. So if we don't have the support from the wider community, from the police, and all we see is the negative side of it, how can, you know, the youth kind of have the encouragement to kind of step up, be heard, and kind of give their ideas, so that in the leading future, it has positives on their life. And also, you know, working in a youth group, like we organise dinner events, ice skating, just to kind of bring the youth together and, you know, get them engaged and everything. But at the same time, we don't have the support. And I think the youth don't want to come together because of the negative side of it. The negative side of it being heard, you know, like, you know, this community is going to say something about me, these people are going to say something about me, you know. It's just negatives that are in their head. And as he said, there are, like, you know, positives out there, and that's what needs to be heard in the media. The media needs to attribute the positives of the African community, of the Australian community, and the wider community.
Thanks very much. At a later stage, we'll talk about how you actually get the media to talk more positive and less negative. It's not as easy as that, but I think we'll have a crack at that.